So our first number by Jello Joe. I will invite Bonnie to unmute herself and give us our first reading.
We come here because we are tired of waiting for the world to change, for hope to be redundant, and the world to be a place where peace is known and lived completely. Tired of waiting too long to come to know others well enough that we cannot exploit them, harm them, make war against them, to know them well enough that we can only love them. We dream of a world of peace, in which families raise up children who live justly, in which societies raise up values that honor creation and human dignity, in which love is raised up by all, and no one need be alone. Today we gather together, for we are tired of waiting alone.
Now I'll invite Ryan to give us our first guided meditation.
Good morning, everybody. I'll turn on my video in a second, but for now, I would rather you not look at me, but look inside of you. I want you to take a deep breath this morning. Breathe in and exhale. Look around your room. What's blue? Pick out the colors. Maybe go touch something, hold something. Allow yourself to actually feel that emotion that it brings. Blueness is more than a color. Travel back in the weeks that's passed and think through the range of feelings, the struggles, the delights. And ask yourself, what do I feel? As you take another breath in, allow yourself to weep internally. Allow yourself to weep externally. Shed a tear. It's all right. Be vulnerable and allow yourself just to be hugged by the universe, hugged by the music behind you, hugged by the room around you. And this, I often like to do my meditations around verses. And in such, we turn to the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verse 35, where Jesus, who was born here in a couple days and we celebrate, is recounted in the simplest verse of the Bible, but also the most powerful. That verse reads, Jesus wept. What do you weep for? But also, what do you delight in? There's another prophetic voice that I want to fill your hearts and ears with this morning as you listen to the closing of this song. And that's Gahil Gibran. Gahil wrote, when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Take one more breath in and exhale all the cares, all the sorrows, all the joys that distract you this morning. All right, so when Russ said Blue Christmas service, I figured I had once again better travel out in my mighty blue kayak on the mighty blue Monterey Bay and kind of share with you guys. And thank goodness it's a sunny morning here, despite the theme of the service and the winter solstice. So when I started thinking about blue, I started thinking about music. And very few folks would claim the blues as their favorite musical genre. However, even fewer can keep themselves from tapping their feet or getting lost in the stories that these songs share when they're playing. The soundtrack of the world this year, honestly, is a little bit bluesy this Christmas season. And amidst another round of shutdowns and a slew of winter solstice shortened days, that melancholy blues beat is kind of encroaching on our Christmas carols. Today on the color blue and the musical genre rather than the emotion that we're feeling this season. Not in an attempt to avoid our emotions, but because it has been so intensely emotional a year that many of us just simply don't know what we're feeling anymore. So about that. Have you woken up any morning or sat around any otherwise sunny afternoon this season sulking? Not quite knowing what you're feeling or what you're sad about? I actually despise the holidays, weekends, or sunshine when I'm feeling down. Cruz can be a very difficult place, as you see today. The world around us is bright for being blue. So no, we may not be able to understand all our emotions this season, but we can comprehend color and music. And look at this weeping scenario. Jesus wept. And I love when you break down those words. There's two words for weep in the Greek vernacular. Kleo, which means shed a tear. That's used often in the biblical and in the modern day Greek writings. But there's also ekkrison, which is an intense emotional outpouring. Look into that verse. There's no commentary. There's no surrounding passage to it that says why Jesus wept. And this is true for the world. We are so overwhelmed right now that a lot of us don't even know why we're weeping anymore. So what would it look like to talk if you gave yourself permission to feel blue without having to hide from the emotion, define it, or disguise it? Jesus was known as a bodhisattva, somebody that has reached enlightenment, chose to stick around to suffer for the better of well-being of humanity. Oh, we need it right now. And I'm not sure if any of you have felt yourself on the receiving end of an emotional outburst this season out on the streets of Santa Cruz, but I've certainly seen my fair share. It's happening in extreme cases, from racial rioting to discrimination to simple side effects, such as that snark comment in the 6-foot separated grocery store line. Everyone is just a little on edge. Society is so emotionally exhausted and starved for comfort, starved for love, starved for the reds and greens of the season, that we are experiencing the shadow side of unknowingness and isolation, that of anger and fear. You see, there are two ways to approach an emotion, or a blues beat for that matter. You can dance with it, or you can fight it. You can accept our emotions for what they are, or you can fear feeling them and flee. Nothing good comes from fear, and anything short of acceptance is avoidance. You see, blues is a rhythm, and we must choose if we dance with it or fight it. So this would look like if you embraced the blue. After all, Christmas was not too merry 2 millennia ago either. Think about it. The birth couldn't have been very cheery and festive for Mary. She had to be blue, being among the donkeys in the manger to give birth. Then had to be blue, father of a son he didn't conceive and forced to defend a wife in the world with very judgmental eyes. But the beautiful part of the story is not in the blueness, but it is in the voice of an angel who sung to them, "Fear not." So the circumstances kind of suck this season, as they did at the start of our Christmas tradition. But we must trust and not fear. After all, I just got word on NPR that Santa Claus actually was one of the first people to get a COVID-19 vaccine. So we want to trust in these times, but in the meantime, I want you to allow yourself to dance to the beat of the blues. And remember the delights that you are blued for. Before I turn one more time to that quote from Gahil Gibran, "We sorrowful look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth You are weeping for that which has been your delight. Colleague, Reverend Russ.
Tis the season. 'Tis the season of cold, dark, wet, and wind. And it's okay to feel sad. Our culture asks us to convey our love for one another with purchased gifts. And sometimes we buy gifts that no one needs or wants. Guilt and false generosity drive us to buy more because we're told that happiness only comes from buying stuff. 'Tis the season of cold, dark, wet, and wind. The leaves are gone. The autumn leaves have turned brown and lay in heaps like litter. Flowers are dead or dormant. Memories of past winter seasons, some painful, come back to us like they're happening all over again. Memories of past winter seasons, memories of people we loved who have died during this season. They're still with us, though they're no longer here. Grief and loss can be yearly cycles as consistent as the recurring seasons. Our past is not dead nor gone, but carried in our hearts and souls. Sadness and melancholy can hit us unexpectedly at inopportune times. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be melancholy because we are experiencing the in-between. We are between autumn and spring. We are in the liminal space of the transition of seasons. We are in between. We are in between 2020 and 2021. We are between running out of hospital ICU beds and getting a vaccine. We are between vaccines and a variant of COVID in Britain. We are between election and inauguration. We are between economic collapse and another stimulus package. We are between the dangers of being with family and our loneliness. We are between the fires of August and resuming life with go bags and air purifiers. We are between wanting all this to pass and not being able to get up in the morning. We are in between. Many of us have kept our emotions bottled up tight since March, unable to process what we're feeling, and finding no anchors in this storm that has encircled the entire world. Oh, we put on a positive face to our family and friends, using statements of optimism as a coping mechanism to distract us and to keep us from collapsing into emotional exhaustion. In my family of origin, expressing any emotional sadness was verboten. If we had a coat of arms, the motto would have been, just get over it. We've kept so much hidden from ourselves and others all year, and we know that constrained emotions can poison a soul and leave us so exhausted that self-care erodes away. We fear expressing our sadness as a sign of weakness or maybe even making things worse. But it's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be melancholy. We are experiencing the in-between. So let us feel those feelings we've carried alone for the hellacious year of 2020. Let us be together in our confusion, in our sadness, in our exhaustion, in our sorrow. Because when we come together with emotions showing, our humanity is revealed. And it is then we can witness together that this is not the end. This is in between. When you see my tears, you can say, this too shall pass. And when I see your sadness, I know that this too shall pass. This isn't the end. This is in between. Now Bonnie will give us our second reading.
This is from The Cure for Sorrow by Jan Richardson. All throughout these months, as the shadows have lengthened, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, preparing for this day. It has practiced walking in the dark, traveling with its eyes closed, feeling its way by memory, by touch, by the pull of the moon, even as it wanes. So believe me when I tell you this blessing will reach you, even if you have not enough light to read it. It will find you even though you cannot see it coming. You will know the moment of its arriving by your release of the breath that you have held so long, a loosening of the clenching in your hands, of the clutch around your heart, a thinning of the darkness that had drawn itself around you. This blessing does not mean to take the night away, but it knows its hidden roads, knows the resting spots along the path, knows what it means to travel in the company of a friend. So when this blessing comes, take its hand, get up, set out on the road you cannot see. This is the day when you can trust that any direction you go, you will be walking toward the dawn.
Now, Ryan, if you would give us more spoken words.
Round two. So, concluded that first one with a quote from Kahlil Gibran, and I wanted to follow it up with a second one. Kahlil writes, "The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain." So we approach this season in these emotions and just the many things that are kind of hitting us right now. I want to ask you a question. What would it look like if we approached with a question mark instead of a period? What would it look like if we got curious? What would it look like if instead of asking, why me, why us, why now, we simply added the word wonder? Because that's what Christmas is all about. I wonder why me. It takes us away from this self-pity into a time of purpose. I wonder what I can do with this pain that I'm feeling. I wonder what joy is filling that void of sorrow that Kahlil Gibran talked about. I wonder why me. The word blue, in an etymological sense, that's not actually a word, but along with my English degree, I got the permission to make up my own words. Comes from the High German blau, meaning shimmering and lustrous, not melancholy and mundane, shimmering and lustrous. And that word comes from the same root as azure, with amaze. I wonder why me. I'm amazed by the emotions I'm feeling now and what are going to come from them. It reminds us of that angel singing to Joseph and Mary, "Fear not." No, the angel didn't say when things were going to get better, how they were going to get better, what it was going to look like. They said, "Fear not." It invoked a sense of wonder. And in this season, I hope that you too can fall into the beautiful feeling of wonder that Christmas truly has in our hearts, and find delight and peace in that, even though you might not understand why we're doing this today, tomorrow, or in the weeks to come. And I have no fear because I know you guys well, and I can't wait to see what this fellowship. Thank you so much, and once again, to my fellow colleague Russ, we go.
We are hardwired to hope. In the last 100 years, humans have repeatedly shown how adversity is overcome with hope. After the ravages of World War I, after a pandemic that killed millions, after a worldwide economic collapse, the world entered into the Roaring Twenties. After the ravages of World War II, after an invention of a weapon of total annihilation, after millions killed in wars and famines, the world entered arguably the most peaceful period in human history. We are hardwired to hope and to survive and to adapt. But it's a world of hard knocks. And as we live our lives, the world has a tendency to batter and bruise us with disappointments and unmet expectations. But you know, dealing with our disappointments, setbacks, and unmet expectations, they can teach us. And when I reflect on my own life, it was the hard knocks that shaped me, not the moments of idle pleasures. And if hard knocks and disappointments are our teacher, then after 2020, we should all become geniuses. I've seen many seasonal cycles come and go, and so have you. In spite of anything I feel today, even if it's sadness for this season, I know this will pass. The sun is coming back, just like it always has. Here comes the sun. May we bask in the light and warmth. Now I'll invite you for our second guided meditation. Some people find it's comfortable to put both feet on the ground. Some people find it's comfortable to sit with hands open or closed, together or separate. Your eyes can be open or closed, but I invite you to inhale slowly and exhale deeply. And at the end of each inhale, pause for a moment at the in-between. And at the end of each exhale, pause for a moment at the in-between. In-between is where changes happen. In-between is where insight is gained. In-between is the liminal space where magic can happen. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out. We're in the liminal space of the transitions of seasons. Without winter, spring would not be inspiring. Without winter, summer would only be hot and dry. Our Earth continues to rotate, continues to orbit around the sun. The seasons cycle like they always have and always will. Our ancestors saw the seasonal changes. We will see many seasons in our lifetime. Our children and those who come after us will see many seasons. Nothing lasts forever. And this is one of life's great lessons. Nothing lasts. Darkness and cold are essential for the tree sap to flow and bring on spring. From our pain can come our hope, and from our hope can come our faith. The saying, "This too shall pass," is from our ancestors, and it was true for them, and it's true for you. From our faith comes our love. Esperamos in Spanish means to wait, but it also translates as to hope. Esperamos means that we wait, and it also means we hope. Winter is in truth just the beginning of spring. This season, our Earth does not say it's over. Our Earth does not say so. It only whispers, "Not yet, not yet." You can't rush this. It comes in its own time, as spring always has. Winter will pass. Christmas will become a memory, as it did for your ancestors before you. This too shall pass. The buds will return to the trees in just a few weeks. The days will get longer. Our nights will become shorter. The weather may get colder, wetter, and windier for a while, but nature is preparing for what's next, preparing for spring. And you can use this time to prepare yourself for what's next on your life's journey. You are not alone. We are in this together because we are in between.